Hello and welcome, or welcome back. I'm Nicole, a cottage witch, and this is my what used to be at one point a weekly sort of wrap-up situation. I think it's been 3 weeks since I last did one, so we're going with that. I've been ridiculously busy every weekend, which is very unusual for me because I'm a hermit and like slow moving person. So I was at the opera, and then I was volunteering at a book sale, and then I was volunteering at a book sale again, and had a literary event to go to today, and just non-stop action. So I'm a little frazzled, so we'll see how this goes. I do have some notes. Also, the sticky note is handy to cover up the things that YouTube may not like, which there might be many in this video. We'll see. This is a book about Suzanne Valadon. Well, it's a book, it's a magazine by Beaux-Arts. I'm not sure if I can show a lot. It's all in French, which is lovely because I need to practice my art vocabulary. Sorry, I'm just trying to get a sneak preview of the page that's coming so I can figure out if it's going to be, if YouTube is going to object. Which, you know, it might do. But she was an impressionist painter who just, whoops, might not like that one here, who I just find really fascinating, and you don't hear about her very often, and that's really annoying to me. So I'm going to learn more about her. That's the plan there. Let's see, is that all in? I forgot to check if it was in the frame. There we go. She did some still lifes. She did the requisite chair and a violin and a bunch of figures. I like her figures the most, but probably YouTube will not like most of them all that much. This one might be okay. We'll see. Anyway, very interesting. I like the sort of the shapes of people's bodies that she went with. So I will have to read through that someday. I'm not very fast with the reading these days. We'll get to that in a second. So it might take a while. Here's another French art book I got. This is From Impressionism to Tacheism. Tacheism, as far as I can tell, is basically the French or broadly European equivalent to abstract expressionism in the States. So this book is not going to fit all in frame because it's enormous, but it goes through some of the Impressionists. There we've got part of Monet there. I'll have to do a bit of an angle here because I just don't have camera set up for this. So Impressionism, it goes through some modernism. There's quite a lot of text here. Here's some more modern, all sorts of different things. It seems to cover quite a wide variety of styles. Oh, here's Cubism. There's Picasso. You probably can't see that. Oh, there's more Picasso. It does have some of the expressionists in here. Like here is some, so it's got some Kandinsky, some Bulkley. It's got de Kooning in here somewhere, and what is this? I can't remember. Is that Breck? I don't know. Some of these I really like. And then it's got Expressionism. So it's got some German Expressionism. Whoops, here, I'll go back on the angle for this page. And then it goes into some more abstract stuff. And some just other random modern stuff, Duchamp and whatnot. So it's pretty international, at least between North America and Europe. How international it is beyond that, I don't really know. I don't know a lot of these people. Those look like European things. Oh yeah, this is the Bauhaus thing. That was in Germany? I want to say that was in Germany. So it's quite a long book. Let's get into here's something here. I don't know if this is the Tashism. I haven't clearly read it yet because, oh here, there's where the Tashisms are. So it has, this will be American, I think. No, some of this is European. Okay. So, like, there were relationships across the Atlantic, but also things developed differently. So, oh yeah, here's de Kooning and Pollock. And then this will be the Tashism, I think, which just I wanted to know more about because it's interesting. That's all. Who is that? Serge Polyakov. Yeah. Cool. Kind of like that. Don't really love that. So there are a lot of artists in here. Like, I've read books now about the abstract expressionists, particularly the women. The women enunciation, because I like them the best. But in reading about that, I heard about Tashism, and there aren't a lot of books. I don't actually know if there are any books written in English. If they are, they're all out of print and stupidly expensive. This one's out of print too, but I found a secondhand copy, which is a bit beat up, as you can see from the back, but oh well, it'll do. Okay, so those are the books I got. These are the ones I read. Oh yeah, I got this one too. I haven't read it yet. This is When the World Sleeps. Stories, Words, and Wounds of Palestine by Francesca Albanese. She's the UN Special Rapporteur on the occupied Palestinian territory. And she has been so pilloried by American and some European politicians that she can't, like, open a bank account and nonsense. Like, it's nuts. It's really absolutely bananas how they've treated her just for telling the truth and not sugarcoating anything. So I wanted to read this book. I have not read it yet, but I pre-ordered it. So it just came out, like, I don't know, a few days ago. I did read this one. So this is When the Forest Breathes, Renewal and Resilience in the Natural World by Suzanne Simard. She's the one who wrote Finding the Mother Tree, which I've read twice. She's a forest ecologist out of BC and is amazing. And I love this book so much. If anybody liked Braiding Sweetgrass, they probably like this one. She's not Indigenous, but she talks a lot about working with Indigenous communities. Because, I mean, I don't know a lot about BC. I know more about Alberta and Saskatchewan because that's where I'm from. But I know that at least most of BC was never formally ceded by any sort of treaties to the Canadian government. So there are a lot of land disputes between Indigenous people and the government. And I'm inclined to think the Indigenous people are in the right most of the time. Because their land just was all taken from, and they have very little control over most of it. And the damage that clear cutting has done is enormous. And now we've got a regular wildfire season. So she talks about all these things and what we can do about it, and what the forest is doing about it, and what we can do to help the forest. And it's a beautiful book. And I went to an event with her today. And if you ever have a chance to hear her speak, definitely take it because she is phenomenal. I love her. Okay, I have a couple audiobooks. And I also have a couple tarot, but because they're audiobooks, I'll just show you these. Oops, that got bent. Oops. I got the Wisdom of the Sacred Bee Oracle out and used it exactly once so far this week because the bees are out now, finally. So we had the weekend before this weekend, we had our hopefully last snowstorm of the year. That was fun. And I saw the first bee yesterday. Well, the first one that I saw. So I got this out, pulled one card, but I'll keep it out to my desk here, just for fun and cheerfulness. I did as well do one more pull with the winter edition of this deck that I made, which is just all prairie plants. That means something to me that I photographed either in my garden or around and about. That's my balcony garden. Oh, it's so cute. So I did one more with this just to close out the season, I suppose. And then one more with the spring summer version. So I'll just, I guess, flip through that one while I'm talking about the audiobooks that I listen to. So I listened to How to Art, Bringing a Fancy Subject Down to Earth by Kate Bryan, and it was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. It's very not intimidating, which was, I mean, sort of the stated goal. It still annoys me that I forgot to change that flower out. That is a purple echinacea, but it's a variety. That's, I think, a hybrid variety. Anyway. What was I saying? Oh yeah, How to Art. So she talks about all sorts of things, both for artists who are aspiring to get into the art world, which I'm not, and people wanting to buy art, which I'm not. I just thought it was an interesting book and wanted to know more about it. She also talks about how ordinary people should just make more art because we're meant to be creative, and I mean, the world's on fire, so we might as well make something like that will bring us joy, or protest art, or whatever floats your boat. I saw somebody, speaking of protest art, an illustrator was illustrating? I don't know. The right way to talk about art, because I'm not an art professional, but she was drawing the protests in Minnesota. Speaking of which, I haven't heard anything about Minnesota for a while. I wonder what's going on there at the moment. Hopefully nothing too appalling, although I don't hold out a lot of hope for that, but I don't know. People are protesting, so that's a start. Anyway, tangent. She basically, it was like an introduction to art for people who are interested in art but find it intimidating because the art world is very gatekeepy. So it was very nice to read. It was very easy to read. I listened to the audiobook version. And then I also listened to Art Monsters, Unruly Bodies in Feminist Art by Lauren Elkin. I've listened to this before, so this was a re-listen. And I really like it. There are a couple things I thought this time that were missing, now that I've had more time to think about it and went through it a second time. So the first half was my favorite. She gets into the weeds of a couple particular artists she's grappling with in the second half of the book, and personally I didn't find that very interesting, although other people did, so, you know, whatever. But if she's talking about unruly bodies, like, there were missed opportunities to talk about fat bodies, disabled bodies. I mean, she does talk about sick bodies, like if somebody's on chemo or something. And queer bodies. So, like, there are a couple lesbian artists she talks about, but there are no, as far as I can remember, there were no trans or non-binary or any other sort of gender non-conforming artists. And I mean, there were obviously women who fought against gendered stereotypes, but that's not quite the same thing. So I just think it could have gone further into more and covered more interesting ground if there were a couple additional chapters. And maybe that's a limit of her experience of art, or maybe she doesn't know artists who are, I mean, there are a lot of artists who are disabled, but I don't know. I just felt like if you're talking about unruly bodies in feminist art, talking about like fat bodies or in some way uncooperative bodies, it does make sense. Ooh, bearberry. I saw that on my walk today. So anyway, I liked it a lot, enough to reread it. I don't think I'd read it again. I think twice through was good. Like, I got what I think I needed to get out of it. And it was very interesting. I liked it a lot, but yeah, she could have added a couple chapters to make it more, I don't know, complete, thorough, something. Okay, so those are the books I read this week. I think there's another book, but it's under a bunch of other stuff, so it's gonna have to be a little out of order. Okay. I went to a fabric sale, and if I remember, I'll insert a picture of said fabric. This is just a little bit on the table to remind me to talk about it, because I need visual aids to remind me, because nothing will stay in my head. Seriously, it's exasperating. But, so this, I didn't get anything with the intention of sewing specifically. I might do some slow stitching stuff. I've got a little scroll thing wound up, fabric bit. That's not terribly coherent, but anyway. That I might try some slow stitching with, but mostly I got it for collage and just playing around. Like, this could be fun for printmaking of some sort. I'm not really sure yet. So it's a box that's next to me with just a pile of options and ideas. Okay, what else? Oh, here's a little tangent. One of our interns at work is a big Pokemon fan. And so she gave me some cards to get started, and then I got a few more. So, also, she's purple and beautiful. Not the intern, this, whatever this Pokemon is. I don't know all the Pokemons. These are my favorite because they're purple and cute. So anyway, it's sorted mostly by color, and I have a surprising number now. Mostly of ones we opened them in a very sort of ritual sort of way at work. We had like Pokemon opening parties. It's hilarious because a couple other people were into it as well. And then some of them gave me some of the ones that like they have 3 million of already. So anyway, that's a fun little side quest that I didn't need but got into anyway. Whoops. Okay. Then I did some arts and crafts. I'm not really sure the best. This is a tiny bit overwhelming. Okay, let's just start with this because it's my little walking book. What was the last thing I did? Did I talk about this last time? Maybe. No, did I? I cannot remember. That I must have talked about. Okay. So I got some pink gouache because it was called Opera. So I couldn't not. I didn't realize it was acrylic gouache at the time, so whoops, but oh well. And then I drew some plants over top, which I really like. I got this edible and medicinal plants of the Rockies out so that I could have, it's got both photos and sometimes illustrations, but it's got really clear photos of a lot of things because it's supposed to help you identify things. So I got that out and just did some doodling with, this was one of those wedge-shaped, it's for manga drawing originally, but it's like a calligraphy pen, but it's really fun to work with. So I enjoyed that a lot. That's a little experiment that I kind of like. The colors are all funny, but I like it anyway. That is a bunch of wonky spruce trees that I like. This was a perspective gone wrong, so I just used it for working on a palette. And this was the perspective, so I had to take a picture. I wanted to get the perspective of this particular corner right. Don't ask me why, I don't know. I just did. But I couldn't because I was looking at it at a funny angle. And just couldn't, like, every time I turned my head and did something else, then it would make everything wrong. So I took a picture and practiced it from the picture, and it makes much more visual sense now. Just more swatching, more doodling as I went for walks just on my lunch break. Naughty Onion, I think I drew that at work from a playing card. Little bit down by the river, random birds and whatnot. More bits down by the river, more plants. I like these too. These were some of the first buds I saw just starting to come out. So that was fun. Evidence of beavers. They had cut down some of these trees. I'm not sure, cherry trees maybe? Just little ones. Okay, then I got into a couple different things. So one of the things I got into was, I don't know if YouTube's gonna like this or not. It might not, but I got into figure drawing. So I joined Job Brighton's Patreon, and they have live figure drawing, and they have a bunch of photo sets, and it's all 18 plus for obvious reasons. They do have some photo sets of people that are clothed, and then some where they're not. So there's a good variety. There's a variety of like skin tones and body types and all sorts. So it's pretty interesting. And you can do the live ones if you want, which is much harder, can I just say, than working with a photo. Even on a video where it's already made 2D for you, it's still harder than a photo. Wild. So anyway, started with this one. That one's one of my favorites. I liked this person. She had really cool hair. Did I talk about this last time? I might have. Sorry. And then I also joined, ignore these absolutely appalling drawings. I joined Emma Carlisle's Patreon. She's an illustrator. And I really like some of her work for the last few years, so I joined her Patreon finally. And she had a Birds of Prey was the first drawing session that I did, and these were just 5-minute doodles. And I was playing with mixed media in a way that I hadn't before, and also I'd never drawn these birds before. So ignore the fact that they look slightly ridiculous. This became trying to sort out a color palette page. That one's not completely terrible. Okay, and then I might have mentioned this last time. I got a different book specifically for portraits and figures. So I did a bunch. Oh yeah, I think I talked about that one last time. Maybe him too. But then I did a bunch more. Did I talk about this one? I wouldn't have talked about this one. So this was, who is this? This was my photo set. And then this was from a live drawing. So this was, I just wrote down that it took me roughly 20 minutes for that. Ooh, the lighting's a bit funny. Sorry. Draw Brighton. Yes, Laura. So this is her. And then they had a photo set of Maud. And then I was experimenting with, oh, before I do that, the other guy that I did a photo of, I think YouTube will probably not hate this. I did this photo, so, or this from a photo of him as well. He had a bunch of interesting photos. And I really, really like how this turned out. It started just as a scribbly, taking my frustrations with the world out. I was dealing with some anxiety one day. And it turned into something that I actually really, really like. So yeah, that's that. Took it out of my sketchbook and just stuck it up on the wall so I can keep it in mind. And then I did some portraits. So ignoring the fact that the likeness is a bit not quite the point, I was playing with mixed media and trying to come up with a palette. So this was attempt number 1. And this is one of my favorites because it's the loosest, it's the wildest. The hair is not my favorite. I did hair that I like better later, but the face I really like. I like the combination of colors and textures and marks and everything. It was really fun. And then I did this one, which I was a bit tighter with, so I don't like it as much, but I still like it. Changed out some of the colors, figured some things out, practiced a different way of working on hair. And then I did this one, was my next one, and I was really tight with this one. The hair looks more accurate, I guess. I like it. I like the hair better and the face less. And because I was getting to, I don't know how long this took. Way too long, probably like an hour or something. So then I did this in 15 minutes. I kept setting 5-minute timers and then just wanted a little more time. But it looks like a mess because I was just trying to loosen up and relax a little bit. And then I did this one, which I quite like. So it's a bit more planned and organized underneath. You can't really tell because most of the yellow has gotten covered up. But then it got crazier on top. So I think this was what I was going for, and I really like this one. Oh, and then there was another, oh yeah, I was trying different colored pencil combinations and mixed media stuff, and it only sort of worked, but you know, you have to start somewhere, I guess. So that's that. And then I made this, which looks wonky because it's supposed to. So I did the background first, just experimenting with this color palette, and tried to make it all sort of grid-like. It looks like a wonky sort of plaid or something. But then I really like the colors and the textures and stuff, even in her hair. And well, this is sort of a self-portrait. It's not a very good likeness, but that's okay. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really like the textures and stuff in this and the colors and everything. So what I did basically was Okay, still slightly overwhelmed, so I'm gonna get rid of those. Whoops, I'm gonna end up with stuff on the floor here. That's good. I tried to put together some color palettes. So one of the things I did in doing these portraits was I got the Crayola, what is it called? People Around the World? Colors Around the World? Something like that. Anyway, it is the most skin tone accurate color range of any pencil crayon marker set I've ever seen. And that is because after, I don't know, decades of having a flesh color that was nobody's flesh color, least of all darker skinned people, they hired a chief of something cosmetic chemist from MAC Cosmetics and got him to design what everything should be. So they have the warm tones and the cool tones, and they go from really quite light to really quite dark. So there's really a shockingly good range for a kid's crayon brand. And you can get them in markers and pencil crayons as well. So then I took this and I went to the art store there are 2 art stores that I go to. One of them has a bazillion different colored pencils from different brands. So this was me trying to color match and find things that were like similar. Oh yeah, and then I went back for some other colors because I was missing some. So I was just matching. These were the, what's that brand called? It's a good brand, but it's not very light fast. What is it called? Why am I blanking on that? Anyway, because it wasn't very light fast, I went in and tried to color match and find some other colors that I was missing. To do that, I made myself a master color chart of all my pencil crayons and my Neocolor twos. So I added a couple more for skin tones because these, like, some of these browns are beautiful, but they're not really skin tone browns, you know? Like, even the dark brown is too neutral and sort of grayish. And this is a warmer brown, so it just works better for that. So that's that. And then I was just filling in, oh yeah, the Prismacolor. So they're not usually light fast. So I got some of the Derwent Light Fast and Colorsoft, which are more light fast. And was just experimenting. I don't love the Caran d'Ache pencil crayons, either the Luminance or the Museum Aquarelle. I just did something about the texture doesn't work for me. I did try the Faber-Castell Polychromos, which has some gorgeous colors. And I love Derwent. Derwent, I think, is my favorite brand of the ones that are readily available to me. Yeah, they're excellent. And this store has them all open stock, so that helps. So, yeah, I did that. And then I got a couple more gouache colors because I was out of some yellow and blue and made. So I had previously made just out of this yellow, red, and blue and white. I'd made this palette for landscapes, which I'm not very good at using yet, but I used basically the same colors. The yellow was slightly different to make a skin tone palette, which I haven't actually used yet. I was just waiting for it to dry. There's a spare gray and purple in there. Because I'm not an expert color mixer by any means. So basically it was all an experiment. This is the experiment sheet, and I was trying to get, you know, a light, medium, and dark. That's not very dark. This is darker. Dark range that could pass for skin tones for somebody. So I don't have enough colors, obviously, to color match for everybody, but it goes from quite light to quite dark and has both warms and cools in the light, medium, and dark. So that I'm quite happy about. It took about 2 hours to figure this out, so it was a bit of a procedure, but it was a fun day. And I know more about mixing brown now than I ever used to. So that was fun. So then what I've done is, oh yeah, I've got this sketchbook too. Okay, I'll get back to that in a second. I've basically got these containers. So I've got one container. This is the one I use for portraits, not these brush pens. These I just threw in here because I want to use them for figure drawing. But these are the ones I want to use more for portraits and figure drawing, and just play with different mixed media, because I've used I think I've gotten a little bit used to using several things separately now, but not in combination. So that's that. And then I made a set to go out on walks with me. And I've taken it out the last couple of days and it works pretty well. So it's got all my pencil crayons in various colors. And then I have this thing of Inktense pencil crayons that I can take out because I cut it out. So I wanted to be able to remove it. The Velcro was getting annoying, so I cut that off. So anyway, I can throw this in my bag or not. I threw some Tombows, some Poscas, some other fine liners, and then this is my tin of Neocolors. So that's all in here for landscapey stuff. And then the leftover stuff that I wanted to work with, I put in landscapes and Patreons bin. And I want to use this more with mostly Emma Carlisle's Patreon, I think. So if I put the Poscas on this side, you can see I've got a range of neutral colors, greens and blues and browns and yellows and whatnot, and then some bonkers colors. They're very not neutral in any way. So I sort of want to play a little bit with this. This is kind of everything that's left over, these are the things that interest me the most in working with, so they became the sort of sandbox to play with. So that's that. And then this is the one I took out on a walk. So I did, what's the last thing I showed you? I showed you those, I think. This was another of these. I'm still gonna put a fence in front because I have a bigger one somewhere that I've started with oil pastels that I'm just letting dry a little bit. And I'm gonna add a fence, but I wanna try it on this one first to see what it looks like. Oh, I hate. That was an experiment that I hate. I got the Graphitint out to experiment. Oh yeah, this was experimenting with a palette for outdoors. So I went to a sort of bluff overlooking part of the city. And this is my first attempt and it's not very good. I don't like it. This one I liked better, but it's kind of boring. These ones I did from home afterwards, and this one's my favorite of, up to this point in the journey. So this was sort of from memory and sort of from this. This accidentally looks like a river because I used silver for the path, but I kind of don't mind it because there is a river down there, so whatever. And then these are the ones I did today, which I like better. They're much darker though, so like the value range here is better. This one is too light. I didn't go dark enough with this one. And this one started too dark, I think. But I started with these acrylic inks, so the Daler-Rowney FW inks in purple and blue and ochre. And I think I need to, I liked that a lot, but I need to chill and just have the lighter colors. And then I can go on top and make parts darker. But anyway, this was fun. I enjoyed doing this. It was just an experiment of like grasslands and color mixing and mark making is what that was. And this little spruce tree in the corner. And then this was my last one. It was the sort of challenge I had set for myself was to use any color except for brown or green. So I didn't use any. I slightly cheated and used like a terracotta, which is a reddish brown, but it's pretty, I mean, compared to the browns it's pretty red, but compared to red it looks a bit brown, so maybe that was cheating. And then these greens are accidental. Well, accidental, that's because I used yellow in the sky. So anyway, I've got a couple more markers I want to get for this outdoor kit because I realized there were things that I was missing. Originally I'd organized my colored pencils by color, and then decided that was not very practical. I was never using them, so I put them into these separate kits for different purposes, and I've been using them a lot more. So that's been fun. Is that everything? Oh yeah, and my very last thing, sorry, this might be a very long video, is I started this book, Insights Self-Portraits by Liz Riddell. Oh, why can I not? Riddell? I don't know. How you say her name? Anyway, I took the dust jacket off because I always do that when I'm reading them. But this is the guy's portrait on the front. So it's basically National Portrait Gallery from somewhere in the UK. And goes through a history of what people try and accomplish with self-portraits, just using the ones from the UK. So I can't show everything because some of them are not YouTube friendly. Some of them are a bit weird looking, but they're pretty interesting. It is, I think, primarily men, but I think that's because it's primarily men in the gallery. She has another book about women in self-portraits, which I might have to get once I'm done this, if I like it. And so far I like it. There's some text, but the chapters are short, and then there's just a bunch of photos of portraits with little write-ups about what they were trying to accomplish potentially at each portrait. So yeah, that's pretty fun. I'm enjoying that. I'm a third of the way through, something like that. Okay, I think that's everything. We're gonna call it everything because I think this is long enough. I don't know when I'll do another one of these because the next couple of weekends are busy, but then I think the weekend after that I have nothing. So I might do something then, or I might sleep through that weekend. I don't know yet. We'll see. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.